So you asked for a trouble. Deadline. Sum square dot C. Yeah. So this is the question. So the question is, why are we calling the square function when we can do A star A on line 19? Yes or no? We can do. The question is, why do you want to have this statement? We can have something like, yeah, tell me. Why do you want to do it? This seems to be both line 19 and line 20 are the same, na? They work, right? Yeah, Vinkesh has the question. So, yeah, because I want to teach you functions using the most simplest example possible. So let's say if you are instead of square, if it is square root, the code for square root, will it be, how it will be like? It will be pretty hard. The code for square root will be complex. Yes or no? So in which case you have the same structure and you just use the square root function. So perhaps you can have something like the signature for square root will be in float, square root, float A, and then you will have the code for A, and then you compute. Finally, you can return something like square underscore root. Does this make sense? Question, do we need to import math.h? We don't need to import because we are writing our own square root function. Okay, we don't need to import math.h. And why are we having float as the return value? Because square root is typically, it's not unless it's a perfect square, most of the time you get a real number, right? You can make the parameter as integer, we just make it float is more general. So yeah, that's true. You can make it into an integer and then you still have to work in the floating point space. Okay, what's the next question? Suyash, to define your own math function, you don't need, you can define any function, you don't need math.h. If you use square root of x in your square root function, then so if you are doing like this, then if you have something like this float, you all get brilliant ideas, guys. So you say square root of is equal to sqrt a. Then now you need math.h. Okay. This is not exactly plagiarism. So yeah, we can write our own functions and write in use them in other. If we don't use square root, then how would we do it? We will. That's the next homework. How the algorithm to compute square root of a number. Next, in the next homework, you will solve that problem. Okay, you can use Newton's approximation or do some stuff. Okay. If we redefine square root, okay. I don't want to take digress. So if you are fine with this question, are there any questions from the last class? Okay, let's start. Yeah. What is this not equal to? I don't get it. What is that? Anaika's question. Homework from last class. Huh? We have lots of nice stuff to talk today, but what about that problem, Anaika? Did you write the code and see what happened? Yeah, then what's the question? We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it. In case you have some questions, so you can create our own library like math.h. You can type in your question, Vinkesh. Because I'm not sure about my speaker. Okay. I'll ask to unmute. Let's try.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, in the last lecture, you in the recording, you wrote a function in which you defined scanf and printf functions, and then when you ran the function, the scanf worked properly, but it was printing 0. Why?
Scanf worked properly. It's printing 0.
You
Okay.
said,
Anyway, so let's continue today's lecture and see if your question gets answered, Vinkesh. Okay. So my suggestion is let's continue. Okay, and then we will see, because the couple of questions which were the question asked by Vinkesh is perhaps interesting, but I think you will get an answer. Number one. Number two, what Anaika is asking, no, perhaps I'll remind me on Thursday class. I will try to clarify that out. Okay, let's go ahead now. So where did we stop in the last class? So in the last class, so let's control W. We are going to do some cool stuff today. Okay. Yes. Come on, guys, focus here. Focus. So we are on this problem. Okay, we are. What is the parameter passing mechanism called as that is followed in C? What is the parameter passing mechanism? Call by value. Okay, all discussion now here. Don't get distracted. It's the problem about negation. It is a very small thing. The concept that we can easily understand in 5-10 minutes in next class. But the ideas that you are going to see now are very involved, and you will definitely, most probably, gets confused. So I need your full attention here. Again, precedence, stuck in precedence. Great. So now, so this is the code that we have, we looked at. This is the code which we ended with in the last class. If I enter 10 as input, what do we get as output? We are getting 0 as output. Huh? Yeah. It so happened we got 0 as output. It can be any garbage value. Let's try to understand what is happening exactly here. Okay, so there is no guarantee. What is the value of n that gets printed? There is no guarantee. Okay. So I want you to, we will do a GCC, we will carefully trace through this code. So you pay attention and see what is going on in this code. I compile the code using -g option and I'm doing gdb a.out and I'm putting a breakpoint in main, breakpoint at read value function. Something funny happens as we go through this code, but let's see. I put breakpoints at the beginning of the function main, at the beginning of the function print value, and the beginning of the function read value. And I am now running the program. So now we are in main. Okay, we are in somewhere on line 16 or line 17. And if I print n, I'm getting n as 0. Okay, so let's do next. Print n. Okay, so right now n is looking 0. And there is no reason why it should be 0, but it is 0. Okay, and what is the address of the variable n? If you just focus, this is, I am drawing a memory map here. Please pay attention. I'm saying please pay attention multiple times, so to your annoyance. Okay, so in function main, okay, this is in function main, we have this variable n, okay, and I am calling this as n underscore main to indicate that n is a variable in the function main. What is the content of n, at least in my program when I print here? 0. And what is the address associated with this? No, I will just focus on the last 3. 30C is the address. There is a big address. We'll just focus on the least significant 3 digits. 30C is the address of this variable. Are you all with me? You should also make a note of it in your book and see what's going on. So now what we are doing is, so we say you're telling the program continue execution, and what happens is now we are in read value. Since there is a breakpoint in read value, so we stopped in read value. Okay, so now if you see BT means backtrace. What this means is the function main is calling function read value, and the value of n that is passed to the read value function is 0. Okay, so now we are in read value function, yes or no? Main is calling read value and we are in read value function. So I also want you to observe, notice one thing. So forget about backtrace, okay? Just follow me. So from main we are calling before, when we are in main on line number 17, when we just entered, is the function read value active? Is the function read value active on, after we called the function read value, so we are calling read value has become active, and what is the address of the variable, parameter n in read value function? Let's see. Print address of n. So if you see the variable n, n underscore read value, the variable n in read value, what is its address? The last 3 digits of the address. Can you type it in the chat box? Yeah, too easy. Very nice. Awesome. This is the address. Since we are calling the function read value using the call by value parameter passing mechanism, the 0 that is present here, it got copied to here also. This is the initial value. And then what are we doing on line number 6? On line number 6, what are we doing? Next. And we are doing a scanf and I am entering value 10. Now when I entered value, what is the memory, what is the contents of this location n underscore main? What is the content? What is the value that is? What is the content of 2EC? 10. So this gets overwritten with 10, but this value remains the same. So now you go back, you are back to the main function. We are back to the main function. So the original value, the original contents of the memory location n, it is exactly the same. It didn't change. Okay, where did you lose me, Venkesh? So when we are in function read value, what is the address of the variable n when we are in function n? What is the address of the variable n in main? Let's start again. What is the address of the local variable n in main? It is 30C. From main we called read value, and when we called read value, we copied the contents of this n. Okay, we copied the contents. This is a copy. So we copied, because we are using a call by value mechanism, we copied the contents of n underscore main to n underscore read value. And what is the address of n underscore read value? That is a variable n in read value function, 2EC. And when we did the scanf, this memory location got updated, 2EC got updated, but 30C remained untouched. Yes or no? Are you with me? Okay. Now when we are, so now after, after we executed, after we are out from main, so read value function is written, we are back to main. When we are back to main, the contents of this original variable 30C, it is as it is, it didn't change. That is the only observe, that's the thing that I want to point. It's a garbage value, Yash. It is 0. From your friends, you can see someone got 1, someone got -54. And I know in the earlier class, I got something like 32,567 or something like that. So yes, scanf reads n is equal to 10, but into which n? It reads into 2EC. Where did we get 30C and 2EC? Huh? Yep. This one, this is 2EC. This is the address of, this is 30C. There are the memory addresses. Got it, Harshit? Why did it copy from? Because that is the parameter passing mechanism. Now, when we call read value, the contents of this n is copied into the parameter associated with the read value function. When we get back to main loop after, no, that is 0, no, it's not changing. Whatever the original value, it still remains the same. It is not getting, there is no relationship between, in terms of addresses, this one and this one, they are independent of each other. These two, they are independent. And in 2, after we are out of read value function, the memory that is allocated to read value is, it is released. So that's all. Yeah. We are out of it. The function is no longer active. So the memory that is allocated to read value function, it is released. Are you all with me here? The problem? Are you all with me? Okay, if you're all with me here, that's true. The initial value is copied from 2EC to, from 30C to 2EC. That's true. Okay. So now we want to fix this problem. Okay, that's what we are going to do. In order to fix this problem, or in order to solve this problem, we have to learn what are called as pointers. Okay, awesome. Read there are interesting questions coming. So we introduce a new data type called as pointer. Check line number, pay attention here. So we have introduced a new data type. What is this new data type? The new data type is pointer to an integer. In order to reflect this idea, we rename this variable as pointer to n, pointer to integer. So what we do is this, okay? So again, I'll write some code and then we will see what is going on here. Great. GCC read ptr.c. Now did you see what happened? What happened now? You are there. The value that we have entered in the read value function got reflected in the main function. Yes or no? So now let's repeat the story. So we will carefully trace what is going on here. Okay, we'll very carefully trace what is going on. So get your pen and papers ready and trace along with me and help me out. I'm putting breakpoint in main, breakpoint in read value, breakpoint at print value, run the program. Next. Okay, awesome. So this is our memory map. Okay. So now let's see what is, look at the address of, where are we in, where are we in now? We are in function main. So we are printing the address of variable n. All right. So what is the address of variable n? Last 3 digits, 304. This is 304. This is address of n underscore main. And let's see the contents of n. Print n, now it contains 3276 for whatever reason. So now it contains 32767. It's garbage value, but I am just noting it. Or you are with me here till this point, the address of the variable n and it contains whatever it is. Everyone, okay? All 130 students, I hope you're all with me. So now we continue the program execution. So when I say continue, what happens is I tell GDB to keep on executing instructions until it hits a breakpoint. But when I say next, GDB will execute the next instruction and it will stop. But now I am saying continue. It will continue. And then, so now we are in read value function. Okay. Are you with me? Or do you agree that we are in read value function? In fact, we are about to execute line 7. We didn't execute line 7. We are about to execute line 7 in read value function. And look at the address of the variable ptrn. What is the address of the variable ptrn? Last 3 digits, 2d8. So we have ptrn variable. And what will be the contents of the variable ptrn? Any guesses? What will be the contents of the variable ptrn? Garbage. Huh? What are we passing on line number 22? Line number 22, what are we doing? Address of n we are passing. So if we print the contents of ptrn, ptrn contains the address of variable n in the main. Did you see this one? Did you notice this line? These 2 lines? Happy? Does this make sense? So 304 is present. Int star indicates the data type of the variable ptrn. So ptrn is holding the address of a memory location whose type is integer. ptrn is holding the address of a variable. No, it's not. Don't get confused. Just pay attention here. ptrn, the data type of ptrn is a pointer to an integer. That is, it is holding the address of a memory location which is whose type is integer. Okay, if they use a different color, so this ptrn is pointing to this, and this is an integer. Remember, this the data type, this one is an integer, pointer to an integer. Are you with me here? That ptrn is a pointer to an integer. Because of that, we are calling it as int star. Okay. Now let's do one thing. So now we are in read value. We are in read value. Let's look at the address of temp. What is the address of temp? Can you tell me what is the address of temp from the screen? 2E4. It is the address of temp. So right now, temp, when we print temp will contain some value. It is containing 326. No, for some weird reason, it has 32767. This is the value. So now let's execute the print status. The print statement is executed, and then the scanf statement is executed, and we are entering value 10. So now what will temp contain? Temp contains 10. So in terms of the memory map, this got overwritten and 10 is present here. Okay. Now we are on line number 10. Now we are about to execute line number 10. So when you look at star ptr here, this is important, star ptrn equal to temp. What it means is ptrn contains an address. that address is 304, go to that address and in that address, write whatever the value that is present here into that address. So 10 is present in temp. So what happens is when we apply star PTRN, this is what is called as a dereferencing, pointer dereferencing. Pointer dereferencing. This is what is called as a pointer dereferencing operation. So what happens is PTRN contains 304. You don't update PTRN, you update the memory location which PTRN is pointing to. So after statement 10, what happens is this gets overwritten and we write 10 here. Star PTRN means you go to the memory location. When we say PTRN is equal to temp, what will happen? First question, if you say PTRN is equal to temp, what will happen? Which memory location gets updated? Which memory location gets updated if we say PTRN is equal to 2D8? Nice. When we say, I'm writing here, when we say PTRN is equal to temp, which memory location gets updated? The memory location that gets updated is 2D8. But when we say star PTRN is equal to temp, then what happens? Which memory location gets updated? No, that's all. You got it. The memory location 304 gets updated. That's it. Are you all with me here? So, okay, so I'll try one more time. When PTRN, what is the address of PTRN? All of you who have trouble. When we say PTRN is equal to temp, which memory location gets updated? The memory associated with PTRN. So this will get, so what happens is when we do this, this memory location, no, this 2D8 gets updated. Are you fine with this statement at least? That when PTRN is equal to temp, that this memory location is getting. Are you all happy, everyone? Anika, everyone who are having trouble? That is the semantics of it. But now we are doing a slightly different thing. That is, we are saying on the left hand side, we are putting this dereferencing operator star PTRN. When we put that, what happens is we look at the address that is present in PTRN. The address that is present in PTRN is 304. So you go to 304, and you update that memory location with whatever the value that is present here. So temp contains 10, you go to memory location 304, there you update that value. Does this make sense? If you are still having trouble, so I would suggest after this class is over, you think about it. PTRN is not an integer, it is a pointer to an integer. That is the first thing we started with. Because Shauno, on line number 22, what are we doing? On line number 22, we are passing the address, we are not passing n. So Arya, you don't want to copy the address of temp into PTRN, na? Why do you want to copy? Yeah, we will use float star. Yeah. Yep. Are you all with me? By and large, kind of, I don't know how else to explain. Maybe I need to come up with a different approach. But generally speaking, at some sense of what is happening. This is the closest, we are, usually it is explained using diagrams, but actually we are looking at the addresses and looking at stuff. Okay, we are doing an X-ray of the program and exactly seeing what is underneath. Okay, otherwise usually in textbooks you draw some boxes and you say blah, you put an arrow mark, etc. But we are not doing that. We are actually taking wearing special goggles and looking underneath what is happening. Okay. So now, because of that, when we return to the function main, the associated variable n is updated, so you are good. So the interesting thing is the function read value, its return type is void, but it is having a side effect. It is having what is called as, it is not returning anything, but it is still having an impact on the program. And let me, in order to kind of make it clear, so let's say, is there a way to read without using temp? Is there a way to read without using temp? I used the variable temp, but do you think temp is necessary? What should we pass pointer to scanf? If I have this statement, does this work? Scanf %d ptrn. Do you think this will work? No, it should work, na? Because we are passing scanf function the address of the memory location where it should be storing the integer value. That how many of you think it should work or not work rather? Not working. It should work, na? Not work. Why it should not work? Because scanf, what do we need for scanf? What is the second parameter we need to pass to scanf? Tell me. What is the second parameter we need to pass to scanf? I want an answer. The memory location which needs to be updated. The memory location which needs to be updated. Yes or no? The integer value that you type in on the keyboard, that value, it should be stored in the memory location where it should be updated. And what does PTRN contains? What does the variable P? It contains the address of the memory location of the local variable. So it is perfect, right? That's what is expected. Yes or no? I want you to think about it. This will work and this should work. So after the class is over, think about it, write some programs and test what is going on. So, okay, good question. If I use this one, what will happen? Let me draw the picture again. What will happen? What is the address of PTRN? So from here, address of PTRN is 2D8. So here, what will happen on line 9? Whatever the value that we type, where will it go? It will go to this memory location. Yeah. Are you all with me here? Do you agree with line 9? That the effect of line 9 is that. Okay. Awesome. So I will introduce one more idea here, and then we will move to the next important idea on passing parameters. People hate C programming language for this reason, but this is where the strength also comes in. So the reason why you should all know we use C programming, there are questions why not others. This kind of mapping of the programming language to the underlying memory and see what is happening, it is possible only in C. Other languages it's very difficult. Like in Python, etc., there's no way. Okay, great. So now one more thing. So instead of temp, yeah, this is when you are writing Linux program, Linux operating system, kernel, etc. You want to work with the C programming language, or if you are working with embedded systems, you want to work using C programming language. So what happens on line number 11 is, so when we run this program, what will be the output that we get? If we give n as input, gcc read var.ptr.c.a.out 10, you get as 11. So this star PTR which you are seeing on the right hand side, it reads the corresponding memory location and increments it by 1 through the addition operation. Those of you who are having questions, I want you to think about this after the class is over, and then we can, I will clarify your questions in the next class. Okay. So because this requires some kind of taking a step back, taking few deep breaths, use pen and pencil and understand what is going on. Okay. Are you all fine with line number 11? I don't want to use plus plus operator. It causes more confusion than any help. Okay, great. So now the next challenge we have is we are working on, we would like to use CP LS. Okay. So now let's take this program. Let's take this program. So follow along with me. Follow along with me. Yeah. So you recall this program where you find average of numbers. Hurry. So we want to change this program so that we want to write a modular program to read this code. So we want to say void read marks and so and then the read marks code that we have here, we would like to paste it here, and then we want to call read marks. And So when we are passing arrays as parameters, for single dimensional arrays, we use the array with a square bracket. We don't give the, and then we have int size and height. So in this code, I want you to pay attention. We have written a separate function so that we can read the program easily. Okay, we can read the program. No, to not read the program, read the input data. So what are the parameters of the read marks function? There are two parameters. One is an array parameter, and the second parameter is the size of the array. This is how we have to pass 1D arrays. So first run this program and see if it runs or not, and then after that we will go through this program. Array read.c dot a dot out 1 2 3 4 5. The average is 3. And if you see where the function call, what is the first parameter that we are passing? We are passing marks, and the second parameter that we are passing is number of students. And note that we are passing marks. We are not passing. You may think that you may have to pass address of marks, but this is not the case, because the way things work in C is the marks variable contains the base address. It's like kind of an implicit pointer. It contains the base address of the array. It contains the base address of the array. Are you with me? And A contains the base address. So let's now, so GCC minus G, let's trace this program, GDB a.out. So break main break read marks. Yeah, marks itself is a pointer. That's true. So run. Next. So print. So when we print marks, what happens is GCC knows that the data type of marks, so it is trying to print the array. But if you do a typecast, print int star marks. Now, what is the base address of the array? What is the base address of the array marks? Can you all make a note that the base address of the array marks is 2F0. This is, there is a sequence of 5 elements, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The base address is 2F0. The base address is 2F0. So marks contains the base address of the array, and then we continue. Now we are in read marks function. Next. And if I print A, what do I get if I print A? If I print A, what do I get? Random values, huh? Why random values? Marks, whatever the contents of marks will be copied to A, na? What does marks contain? What does the marks variable contain? Marks contains the base address. Marks contain the variable marks. It contains the base address of the array. The variable marks, it contains the base address of the array. So because of that, if you print A, what happens is you get the base address of the array. Yeah, the base address is same as the first element's address. Like if you print address of, when we are in marks, when we are in main, if you print address of marks, it will marks of 0, it will be same as the base address. What do you mean by print marks? Print A of 0, print A of 1, print A of 2. Are you with me now? Whatever the initial garbage values that are present in marks, they are printed as they are. Yes or no? 130 students, bit concerned. Got it? Okay. So now what happens is, as we go through this loop, we read this scanf, no? The scanf here, the scanf here, you know, the scanf here, it reads into the values, first element, second element, no, third element, so on and so forth. That's true, Sarthak. Marks contains the address, but the value inside these addresses is initially garbage. That's true. So for variables, we need pointers, but for arrays, we don't need them. Yeah, kind of true. Yes. The array doesn't contain the address of each element. The array contains the base address, and every other address, we can add a suitable increment value, because if 2F0 is the base address, what will be the address of the next element? If 2F0 is the base address, it is 2F4, because every integer is 4 bytes. We can say print address of A of 0. We can see. So there is an interesting question. Is A and A? Okay. So who asked you that question? Mana asked you that question. So actually A is a, no? So this is, what is the address of A here? 2B8. And what does 2B8 contain? This is A. What does 2B8 contain? Not, no, not A of 0. 2B8 contains 2F0, which is the base address of address. Yeah. Hello, everyone. How many of you got this? That the address of this is, the address of A is 2B8. Does the address of A 2B8, does it make sense? Got it, na? And A contains the base address of the array, which is 2F0. That's all. And if you want to get the address of, you know, A of 1, you just add to 2F0, no, whatever the score, so on and so forth. Yep. Got it? What do you mean by printing full A? I am not doing the Trojan. First, understand this. If you whatever that is there on your no screen now, if you understand, you are good. Printing A as an address. Okay, 1 minute. Let's take a step back. So in this program, what is the address of A? What is the address of A? 2B8. And what does A contain? What does A contain? The base address of the marks array. The base address of the marks array. That's what we are passing on line number 18. What are we doing? If you want to do this, so somewhere here in the main function, so this is marks. Okay, what does marks contain? What does marks contain? Can you tell me? What does marks contain? No, marks doesn't contain, marks contain 2F0, because marks is also the base address. Okay, that is what is happening. Okay, so marks also is pointing to this. Are you with me here? And what is the address of marks? Some address. Okay, let's say whatever 2D blah. Okay, whatever 2DF. Does this picture make sense? What is the marks has a address, and that address contains memory location, contains the base address of the array 2F0, and that 2F0 we are passing it to A, and then we need to keep going. You don't need to make a pointer to make mark have the address. Okay, let me stop here. So let me stop here. I want you to think about, watch this lecture again, think about it. On Thursday class, I will not introduce any new ideas. I will clarify doubts related to this class. And number one. Number two is any problems that you have, any other doubts, in the discussion so far, I will clarify. Number two, some problem, the Pythagorean triplets problem we will try to solve. And that is the plan for Thursday class. So those of you who are confused, it's all right, that's natural. But I want you to take a time, work on your own using pen and paper, use GDB, use program, and try to see what is going on. Okay. What does 2F0 contain, Himani? Himani, 2F0 is the first. If 2F0 is marks of 0, na? So this is marks of 0. This is also called as A of 0. Marks of 0 and A of 0, they are the same. Any practical use of pointers? Without pointers, there is nothing you can do in C. So you should learn. Okay, I will stop here. The syllabus is everything till